Hello, gazers.
Hello, gazers. Are you good?
I'm good. Yes. Had a couple of drinkies last night, can't lie. Felt a bit fragile this morning, but no, fine. I went out for a walk with the doggies.
Right.
Blew all the cobwebs away, so I'm fighting fit now, thank you.
Good.
You're back again at PG Manor.
Yes, in the countryside. We've left the towers in the city behind.
Yes.
And here we are in the leafy glades of a small unidentified village in the southeast of England. But we obviously can't reveal where for security concerns.
Yes, for confidentiality purposes.
Yes.
Before you do anything else, gazers, before we deep dive, so to speak, please give us a follow, because when you follow, it really helps to spread the word of the problematic gaze. But yeah, we're safe and sound after our Wicker Man episode. With no burning effigies.
No.
There's no people wearing strange bird masks or anything.
I mean, I barely got out of that alive, if I'm being honest.
I know.
You know, it was a long swim back to the mainland last week. But here we are. Thank God.
Can't stop thinking about poor Edward Woodward.
I know. It's a grim ending, isn't it?
It is a grim ending. But it's gone down really well with our gazers. We've had lots of positive feedback and comments.
And I'm hoping that people have been celebrating the May Day with phallic symbols and lots of, not line dancing, maypole dancing.
Yeah.
Let's all dance around a big cock on May Day.
Yes,
please.
giant phallic objects.
Yes. I mean, what's not to love?
Exactly. Got phalluses on the brain.
Phalluses on the brain.
Before we go any further, I would just like to tell my wonderful co-host and friend, Dr. Patsy Stone, Dr. Lee Arnott, that I've got you a little present.
Really?
A gift for us to wear in our next podcast.
Okay.
Well, there's a choice of two.
Right.
And I think maybe you should choose, although I do know which one you will go
Okay.
for. Okay, so voila, here you go.
This is
Excuse the rapping.
exciting. There is no wrapping. So it's 2 t-shirts. Oh, look. That's fantastic. That's a picture of Betty Davis as Baby Jane. And, it's Joni C. Obviously, I'm Betty. They're great,
C.
aren't they?
Yeah, very good.
Really good.
Give me that one. Let's just drape it over us for a second.
Yeah.
So, yes, because we do occasionally, but not often, do bicker like Baby Jane.
Yeah, but you are, Dave. You are in that chair.
And I'm a bit more long-suffering like Joan Crawford.
Yeah, give over. A bit more of a diva.
Do I need a touch-up, or am I all
Yeah,
right?
well, it takes longer to get your makeup these days, love. Got to be there at 5 a.m.
Trowel it on.
Well, we'll have these on next recording then.
Absolutely.
Lovely.
So there you go.
Did you guess correctly which one I would have?
Yeah, totally. I knew you'd be Bet Davis. Knew you wouldn't be able to help yourself. So, what we're going to talk about this week then?
Well, this week we are looking at an episode of The Royle Family, a classic sitcom. The one we've chosen is from season 3, which aired in the year 2000. What's your relationship with The Royle Family?
It could just be a fly on the wall of my family, to be honest.
Yeah.
Watched it when it first came out. It was an instant hit, wasn't it?
Yeah.
With the viewers. And we'll talk about the reasons why we think that was. But yeah, huge resonance with the Royle Family. Watch it. If it's on late at night, on Gold or wherever it's on, I'll always just sit and watch it. It's just gentle nostalgia, I would say.
Had the same, loved it when it was on, really enjoyed it. Like yourself, resonated very much because it was just like being in my nana's front room when I was a kid. I haven't watched it since it came on, but I remember sobbing when Denise had the baby. That was a lovely scene with Jim and her in the bathroom. Yeah. And also when Nana died.
Yes.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, that was a special episode of The Queen of Sheba, wasn't it? And we were contemplating whether to focus on that one because it does resonate with a lot of people when Nana passes away, sadly. But we wanted to kind of have Nana in her full glory, full steam, didn't we?
Yes.
Hence why we've chosen this. It might seem fairly random, this episode, but it really does highlight the wonder that is Nana as a character before she sadly started to go downhill.
And Liz Smith performance, was just astonishing, isn't it?
Yeah.
So with all that being said, should we cross over to the news desk and see what was happening to the UK in the year 2000?
Let's do it.
Well, the good news about the year 2000, Dave, is that we've all survived the millennium bug. Thank God for that, because that was touch and go, really. Do you remember the fuss about the millennium bug?
Planes were going to fall out the sky.
Yeah. Hospitals were going to stop working.
Nuclear power stations were going to melt down.
Yeah. Television was going to go off.
Yeah.
All of the above. It was the apocalypse. I remember I was working in a company and I was kind of responsible for making sure that all the computers were Millennium Bug compliant. Did I have a clue? Did I shy? I would just make sure everything was set. The settings on date and time were all right, and then just hope for the best.
I remember I had a temporary job, as you do, in 2000, and it was to install updates into computers in old people's homes. It was armed with floppy disks.
Yes.
Shoving it in and updating.
Yeah.
And half the time it wouldn't work.
Yeah.
But it was only a temp job, so I couldn't really be arsed. So I just said I'd done it.
Yeah.
And I just had images of, on Millennium Night, all these like poor people's oxygen tanks switching off, or life support machines going down.
Killed a load of old people on New Year's Eve.
And it was just because I couldn't really be arsed whether it worked or not.
Assassin.
I must admit, I did have a vested interest in the Millennium Bug not killing us all.
Good. Well, yeah. And what was it before? It was because computers, again, this kind of shows the infancy of computers, had been designed, but they hadn't factored into their programming when the year turned from 99 to 00.
Yes.
And the belief was that they were all just going to explode or something. Anyway, they survived. We all survived.
Here we are with our iPhones and our microphones and our internet.
Everything.
Finger on the pulse.
Do you know what? Usual. It's like sitting next to Judith Hand sometimes. It really is.
Yeah. I don't know who she is.
Oh my God. Tomorrow's World presenter.
Judith what?
Judith Hand. She was the Tomorrow's World presenter with the long kind of... She was on the same time as Maggie Philbin. Let's just crash on. You've disappointed
If you'd said
me.
Maggie Philbin, that would be my era.
I was trying to go more classy, but there you go. You have Maggie.
I'll have Maggie.
Go on.
I'll take that one.
There's always Maggie.
Moving on from the Millennium Bug.
Yes.
Something lighter. On the 31st of January, Dr. Harold Shipman is sentenced to life imprisonment after being found guilty of murdering 15 patients in Greater Manchester between 95 and 98, and he's also sentenced to 4 years in prison to run concurrently for forging the will of one of his victims. It's believed he may have killed at least 215 people.
Yeah, one of the most prolific serial killers in history. Your GP.
The Doctor of Death.
Doctor of Death.
I mean, it's unfathomable, isn't it? You might have gone down the road of it being mercy killings if he hadn't started forging the wills.
Yeah, that kind of takes off the edge of the moral argument, doesn't it?
It really does. Yeah. Can't sweep that one under the carpet.
No, you can't.
Can we?
You can't. What's interesting is the book I'm researching at the moment, as we know. I've been reading a fair bit of 21st century history the last couple of weeks. And one of the themes that's becoming really apparent is how the noughties are about the growing lack of trust in authority figures and establishment figures. And GPs had always ranked very highly and kind of trusted, along with vicars and librarians and teachers were always the most trusted professions. But Shipman is the start of thinking, well, actually, if your GP can even be killing people. Later on in 2001, Tony Blair's going to take into the Iraq war, so politicians suddenly lose the trust. You can't trust anything they say. And the newspapers are going to have that hacking scandal when the News of the World transpires they hacked Millie Dowler, the murdered schoolgirl's phone. So this is the beginning of this kind of process of mistrust, which only grows and leads us to where we are today in 2025 in terms of the lack of trust in a lot of the big kind of establishments in the UK.
So this is kind of like the start of the millenniums when the rot started to set in.
Yes, very much.
Wow, that's interesting.
Yeah. Speaking of serial killers, the 31st of March, Myra Hindley, who spent 34 years in prison for her role in the Moor's murders, loses a third High Court appeal against a Home Office ruling that her life sentence should mean life. My mum used to knock about with a guy who was high up in the prison service, and he was in charge of the prison where Myra Hindley was and Rose West were. The first time he met Myra Hindley, because she was a bit of a celebrity, a bit of a top dog, to get a tie in next week with what we're going to be talking about. And she asked for some kind of privileges and he refused them. And she actually said to him, "Don't you know who I am?" He was like, "Yes, you're Myra Hindley, child killer. Back in your box, love."
Joan Crawford.
In a kind of Joan Crawford way, exactly. Anyway, not a nice lady.
On the 1st of May, happy May Day, everybody. The May Day riot in central London by anti-capitalist protesters. The statue of Winston Churchill in Parliament Square and the cenotaph in Whitehall are daubed with graffiti.
I think that's the first time this is going to happen. It's going to increasingly happen, isn't it? That Churchill statue.
Yeah.
Must be protected at all
Yeah,
costs.
it's become a kind of a symbol of protest, hasn't it?
Lodestone, hasn't it? Well, there we go. Just going to see more of these over the next 25 years. On the 4th of May, Ken Livingstone wins the London mayoral election. London gets a mayor for the first time. He's standing as an independent candidate because he was forced out of the Labour Party. He defeats Stephen Norris, the Conservative Party candidate, and Frank Dobson, the Labour candidate, is in 3rd place.
Well,
so yeah, Red Ken gets his revenge by becoming Lord Mayor of London.
And then on the 12th of May, the Tate Modern Art Museum is open to the public in London.
Yes. Yeah.
It's been there quite a few times.
Yes, very much so. It's great, isn't it?
Yes.
I mean, I say it's great. The stuff in the Turbine Hall is always really interesting, but it's often a bit busy, isn't it? It's a lot of people in there.
Lots of children.
Yes.
I'm not the child catcher or anything. I don't dislike children, but when they're all running riot...
As you do on a school trip.
Yeah. But I did go and actually see a really interesting exhibition on Popova and Rodchenko, constructivists.
Oh, very good.
After the Russian Revolution,
right.
They just destroyed all the art and started art from scratch, basically, painting on the back of tea chests, and there was very kind of uniform patterns that everybody, who wore dresses wore these patterns. So it was quite, even though it was supposed to be liberating, it was quite rigid at the same time. That's as arty as I get.
That's very good.
I'm spent. I've got no more.
Get Melvin Bragg on the phone, please. On the 7th of June, Tony Blair receives a hostile reception during a speech at the Women's Institute, where he's heckled and slow hand clapped by furious members. That was a bit of a shocker, wasn't it, for Blair? Because it seemed to be coming to power 3 years earlier and was very much the golden boy, wasn't he? And this was a real wake-up call. Stop taking votes for granted, sort everything out, please.
Yes. I would suggest that the Women's Institute is not the place where Tony Blair's ever going to get the best reception.
Yeah. And I think the fact he just came on stage expecting them to love him.
On the 10th of June, the much anticipated Millennium Bridge across the Thames in London opens to the public, but has to close after it starts swaying.
The wobbly bridge.
The wobbly bridge. Saw pictures of it.
There's footage of it. It's terrifying.
It is terrifying. I think it's a really nice bridge, actually. I think now they've fixed it.
Yeah. It's really lovely. It was out of action for about 6 months, wasn't it? When it finally reopened, it was the first pedestrian bridge across the Thames ever.
Wow,
which is just astonishing. Still in use to this day.
And
a lovely view as you walk across it.
Absolutely. Yeah. St Paul's on one end. Tate Modern on the
Tate Modern on the other.
Oh, we're London boys at heart, aren't we?
Well,
Even though I've moved out to the country.
Yes, you have. On the 20th of September, speaking of the River Thames, a missile is fired from a rocket launcher at the MI6 headquarters building in central London, striking the 8th floor. It's the first time this type of weapon's been used on the mainland, with the real IRA suspected of being behind the attack. First of all, that shows the IRA is still a thing in 2000. But secondly, it was fired from outside the Royal Festival Hall, so some geezer's just come out, got his bag out, assembled his rocket launcher, fires it, off he pops. It's amazing.
Very James Bond.
Don't they use the MI6 building relatively recently?
They do, and they blew it up and then it all collapsed. They really went to town on it.
They did.
In the duvet. Wembley Stadium on the 7th of October closes after 77 years, but it all is not lost because it's set to reopen in 2003 following a complete reconstruction that will see its seating capacity raised to 90,000 all seated.
Yes.
Did you ever go to the old Wembley?
No, I went past it, saw it a couple of times, but never went to it. I've been to the new one, obviously.
Yeah.
It's an amazing building, actually. Did you ever go?
Yeah, went to see Madonna.
Of course.
Blonde Ambition, 1990. A little 16-year-old getting on the coach, going to London on his own.
Wow.
Well, with friends for the first time.
Wow.
Seeing her there, it was just
was
every gay boy's wet dream.
I bet it was.
Yeah.
I bet it was.
Running away to London to see the Queen.
See the Queen?
Yes.
It's funny you say about the 2000 feeling optimistic, it, because actually the next couple of years, Britain's going to have a fairly good time of it. The economy's doing all right. UK manages to buck the trend of the recessions, which kind of affect so many other European countries. So there is a sense of things are moving and shaking in the UK for a couple of years.
It's kind of like the overhang of Britpop, wasn't it?
Yeah, and there's a resurgence of like British culture at this point, and London's swinging again, apparently. But yeah, there is a vibe in the air for sure, which Tony Blair thought he was riding on the back of until he got slow hand clapped by the WI. On the 20th of November, Judith Keppel becomes the first person to win £1 million on the ITV game show. Do you want to say it?
Who Wants to Be a Millionaire?
There you go. Yeah. Remember that? Wasn't she related to Camilla?
I'm not sure.
I think they're cousins or something.
But she's since become a staple on Eggheads.
Yes, she has. She's posh, isn't she?
She's posh. Yeah. I mean, obviously, who do you want to get to win $1 million? A posh person.
Yeah, of course.
Probably got $1 million in the bank already.
Probably. Her great-grandmother was Edward VII's mistress.
Right.
Yeah. She's a Keppel. That was
she?
Yeah. Keppel. Did you say that again? Keppel, really weirdly.
Keppel. Judith Keppel.
So let's have a look at what was on the telly the week of the 6th of November, which is when this episode was broadcast. On BBC One, obviously, as usual, dominated by EastEnders, top 3 places. 17 million viewers EastEnders is getting at the moment.
Wow, riding high.
And number 4, Changing Rooms, was getting 10 million viewers, pretty much. Changing Rooms was a real thing, wasn't it, in 2000?
Yeah, I was reminded of Changing Rooms, something on TikTok, I think it was. Linda Barker had redesigned this couple's lounge. Their prized possessions were all these teapots.
Yes.
Teapots in all different shapes and sizes. Very proud of them. So Linda Barker decided to erect a floating set of shelves, which was basically planks of wood held to the ceiling by a string.
MDF. Held from the ceiling by a string. Wasn't even wood, Dave.
And then all of a sudden, off-camera crash. Walk in, every single prize teapot smashed.
Yeah, I mean, it's classic telly, isn't it?
Yeah.
That show used to do a lot of classic telly when people would have the most hideous things done to their houses and they'd just come in and sob, wouldn't they? Makes the star of Lawrence Llewellyn Bowen. Also makes a massive trend of everyone doing those fucking stencils on their walls, with a potato skin or something.
Yeah.
I tried it when I was a student. It looked dreadful.
Have you seen the stencils on Donald Trump's Oval Office?
I saw it, just blinged it up, hasn't it?
He's blinged it up. And
so
this
tacky.
And again, another lady on TikTok has found the stencils that you can get at something like, I don't know, Home Depot or something like that. Which are kind of white polystyrene. Sticks them across the fireplace in the background when he's trashing Zelensky or meeting fascist leaders from other countries. And spray painted it gold.
Oh my God.
I mean, if that isn't a sign for all that glitters.
Yeah, well, you can't buy class, can you?
You can't buy class.
One Foot in the Grave is still riding high. Casualty is still riding high. The Royle Family is the 9th highest show on BBC One that week. Parkinson's back. Neighbours fills the rest of the top 30 with some Weakest Link and Ground Force and a bit of Holby City. Do you want to have a look what's on ITV?
ITV is dominated by Coronation Street. That's going out Monday, Wednesday, Friday and Sunday at this point. And then Heartbeat is at number 4 for people of a certain age.
Yeah,
not
never
us.
watched it.
No, we were out, weren't we? But that was filmed very close to me, just outside Whitby, on the moors.
Right.
Who Wants to Be a Millionaire at number 5. Who Wants to Be a Millionaire was obviously going through some sort of week.
Yes, it used to be stripped, didn't it?
Yeah, so it's stripped for 3 times in the top 10 alongside Emmerdale. That completes the top 10. Number 14, Animals Do the Funniest Things. The Bill. Fat Friends. Stars in Their Eyes is still a thing at this point. I think Kat Deely's doing it at this point, isn't she? Peak Practice, The Frank Skinner Show, The Big Bats Champions League, Bruce's Price is Right, all are in the top 30. Yep, soaps very much dominate. We've also on Channel 4, Brookside taking the top 5 viewing slots.
I noticed on BBC Two, the highest rated show is The Weakest Link, still to make its swap over to BBC One at this point.
I went to see The Weakest Link being filmed once.
Did you? With Anne?
Yes.
Gosh.
Yes, got to meet her.
What was that like?
She was very nice.
Was she?
Yes. When she came on, she was immediately the Anne Robinson personality that you see. Quite ferocious, quite fearsome, obviously relishing the role.
Yes.
But then when we met her backstage, she was charming.
Oh, that's
Sweetness
nice.
and light, yes.
Nice, good.
Yes.
I'm happy about that.
Yeah, good old Anne Robinson.
Yes, yeah, a little wink. Should we have a look at the top 20 of the charts for the
do
week
it.
commencing 5th of November 2000? Get a little flavour of the music. How many do you reckon we're going to know of this one?
I think we'll be good on this one.
I think we'll be good on this
Yes,
one.
this was when
Yeah.
the charts was still a thing before.
Yes.
Downloads,
Yes.
combined viewing
Yeah.
figures,
Yeah.
and all that shite.
All that
Yes,
technical stuff.
physical sales.
Physical sales. So let's start at number 20. We've got The Cause in with Irresistible, which proved anything but, I suspect.
Gabrielle, should I stay?
Should you?
We can't answer that for you, darling. You've got to, something you've got to answer for yourself.
Coldplay are in with Trouble. I think this is the start of the Coldplay cult. I don't say I'm quietly judging if you like Coldplay, but I am.
Number 17, Body Groove, Architects, featuring Nana.
Featuring Nana from the Royle Family. I don't think it is. I like that song though.
I don't know it.
Get your body groove, your body
Yeah,
groove.
I do
You
know
know it. Kids, Robbie Williams and Kylie Minogue at number 16. Great song.
My Generation, Limp Bizkit.
Not Soggy Biscuit.
At number 15.
Body to Body, Samantha Mumba. I know that one. That was a good one. I think that samples of David Bowie.
Does it?
Yeah, I'm sure it does.
I was thinking about Samantha Mumba the other day.
She's an odd one, isn't she? Just kind of lost to time. Yeah.
I don't know, really.
Irish girl, wasn't she?
Yeah. Yeah, she was great. Yeah, there was a song of hers on the radio. Something.
Well,
I can't remember what it was.
I'm sure she's listening. So if you are out
Yeah.
there, Samantha, get in touch and say hello.
Yeah, come on the podcast.
Yeah, come on the podcast.
Yeah.
We don't know what we talk about, but come on the podcast. We'll call her a friend of the podcast anyway.
Yeah,
That's what
Samantha Mumba,
friend of the podcast.
Body to Body at number 14. Hi, Sam.
Hi, I'm Miss Mumba.
Number 13, Beautiful Inside, Louise.
Louise, obviously not that long out of Eternal. I'm Out of Love, Anastasia, number 12. Set Me Free.
I mean, she rode high for a while, didn't
Yes, she did, yeah.
She had a proper good trajectory, that one.
And it's caused quite a stir because she used to wear specs.
Yes.
Remember, there was a big thing about her wearing specs.
Yeah.
Is that weird?
Yeah. And she hammered it away for years and years and years without success, and found it, well, not in later life, because, I mean, she wasn't freaking 70, but for a female musician breaking it in,
Yeah.
she certainly was older.
She'd plugged away at it, hadn't
Yeah,
she?
she plugged away at it. Number 11, Silence, Delirium, featuring Sarah McLachlan.
Steps are at number 10 with Stomp. Next.
Weren't you a Steps fan?
Not really. I thought they were a bit naff.
But equally inoffensive.
And inoffensive, but then I did go to a nightclub once in Wolverhampton.
Is this story suitable for...
It's fine. It's fine. Yeah. What happened afterwards, I can't tell. But at this nightclub, it was a bit shit. It was very provincial. I don't want to sound like a twat, but it was really provincial. A real mixed bag of people, as a non-city nightclub, gay clubs tend to be. And Steps Tragedy came on, and literally every single fucking person got up and was doing the routine. And I was just like, this is not normal. I didn't like it. I felt really kind of weird. Felt like I was in The Wicker Man, actually. That's what it felt like.
And then Cilla Black came on and you were straight up there.
Straight up, obviously, yes.
Number 9, Don't Think I'm Not, Candy. Don't think I'm not what?
Don't think I'm not.
Don't think I'm not what?
Don't know. Come On Over Baby, Christina Aguilera, number 8.
Country Grammar, Nelly, number 7.
Number 1, The Tweenies at number 6. Moving on.
She Bangs, Ricky Martin. You used to fancy Ricky Martin.
He was a bit too anodyne for me. He was a bit too perfect. I mean, obviously, if he was battering the door down, I'd obviously let him in.
Do you think the signs were there from an early age of Ricky Martin?
Oh, clearly. Yeah, I mean, clearly. What the he's... One of them. Number 4, I'm Over You, Martine McCutcheon.
Number 3, The Rot Setting In, if I can be so bold as to say.
Yes, it is.
Holler / Let Love Lead the Way by the Spice Girls.
Their last number 1 from their final album, which is a bit of a flop. Mel C didn't record any of that album in the same time as the girls. She was off doing her own stuff, and then she basically did her own stuff separately, her lines separately. They'd all kind of shipped by this point, hadn't they?
Yeah, they'd shipped out. Yeah, they were dialing it in at that point.
Number 2, Who Let the Dogs Out, the Baha Men. I hate that song.
My dogs hate it too. Did you ever hear about the story? Victoria Beckham was at a football match in the VIP lounge at some point. I think obviously when courting David Beckham. I'm not sure if they were married by this point or something. But Katie Price walked in and apparently Victoria Beckham uttered to a friend, "Who let the dogs out?"
Well, that's not very nice, Vicky, is it?
Not very nice, Vicky.
No.
Don't punch down like that.
So you see what's number 1?
Yeah. Apologies to any Westlife fans out there, but it's My Love by Westlife.
Westlife. Don't even know it.
Speaking of Mel C
Yes.
and Cat Deeley,
Yes.
I'm spending far too much time on TikTok at the moment.
Right.
There's another thing about, I think it was CD UK or whatever Cat Deeley presented.
Yes.
And she was there, sat opposite her were Louis Walsh and Mel C from the Spice Girls. Mel C was having a cheeky dig at Louis Walsh about Westlife because they were reviewing one of the singles. Mel C said, they're just a little bit boring, aren't they? And Louis Walsh goes, well, at least they could sing. And then Mel said, well, at least the Spice Girls had personality. And I think she knocked the nail right on the head there.
Yeah. I mean, what was Westlife known for? Standing up in the middle of a song off a chair. Come on, have you seen that footage of them before they get... And that's Boyzone. The footage of Boyzone before they become famous on an Irish TV.
Yes.
I mean,
yeah, they'd literally been cobbled together about a day before, hadn't they?
It reminds me of when Cilla Black was doing the body popping in her Christmas special. Do you remember that Christmas special where she just got really random dancers doing their own thing?
Yes.
Like kids body popping.
Yeah.
To the matter in hand, do you want to tell us a little bit about the Royle Family?
I will. So, The Royle Family is a British sitcom produced by Granada Television for the BBC, which ran for 3 series from 1998 to 2000 and specials from 2006 to 2012. It centres on the lives of the television-fixated Manchester family, the Royals, comprising of family patriarch Jim Royle, his wife Barbara, their daughter Denise, their son Anthony, and Denise's fiancé and later husband David. It features simple production values and a comic portrayal of working class family life at the turn of the millennium, and therefore has something in common with kitchen sink drama. Almost all the episodes take place in the Royals' lounge and kitchen. Caroline Aherne and Craig Cash wrote every episode along with Henry Normal and Carmel Morgan and Phil Measley. Cast-wise, we've got Ricky Tomlinson as Jim, got Sue Johnson as Barbara, Caroline Aherne as Denise, and created the series alongside Craig Cash, who plays David. And then we've got Liz Smith, who plays Nana, Ralph Little plays the son, Anthony, and Denise's best friend, Cheryl.
Jessica Hines.
Yeah,
great cast. And of course, Sue Johnson and Ricky Tomlinson reunited after their years in Brookside together as man and wife.
Lee, why don't you give us a little rundown of what happens in this specific episode?
Yeah, so this is episode 4 of season 3. It's called Funeral and was first broadcast the 6th of November 2000. It's another packed, non-stop day in the royal household. Nana is mourning the loss of her best friend Elsie by working out what she can nick from Elsie's flat while she's still got time, much to Jim's consternation as he thinks Nana's angling to move in. While Barbara tries to keep the peace, Denise and Dave ignore the baby. Anthony goes to the Chippy, but Cheryl can't get her Diet Coke, so settles for normal. As the episode reaches its dramatic climax, Jim pretends he's the voice of the dead Elsie, and everybody cracks up laughing. It's just great, isn't it?
Just you saying that,
yes,
it seems like nothing really happens.
Yeah.
And that's the whole point of this programme.
Yeah, it's almost stationary, isn't it? The comedy comes from the unpeeling of each layer, as, you know, and the interactions between them.
Yeah.
It's so spot on. And we both mentioned how much it resonated with us because that's what my Nana's front room was like when I was a kid, except everybody was smoking.
Yes.
And just sitting watching the telly. And if anybody came in, there was no seats left, you'd park on the edge of the chair and you'd just be watching the telly, wouldn't you? And somebody would chip in with the conversation. Yeah.
So for our international listeners who may not have seen The Royle Family, we've obviously given a brief outline of what it's about. But what it is all about, and I think why it really resonated with the British psyche, is that every family in Britain, whether you were working class, particularly the working class, but whether you were working class, middle class, or even upper class, it was all about the family dynamic and about how you can have conflict with your family, but ultimately you all come together. You can say things to your family that you can't say to anybody else. Only your family know your foibles and your intricacies. There's always a lot of subtext that underlies any conversation that a family has. It's more often that what is not being said than what is being said. Because there are underlying years and years and years of relationships with these people. And so that's what it's about. It's about the warmth of a family.
Yeah, it's also very much a direct riposte to the kind of benefits porn, which is starting to be peddled, and the demonisation of the working class, which starts to happen around this time. And especially the idea of shirkers and layabouts, you know, which often gets pulled out by politicians. and benefits scroungers and stuff. And actually is a relatively rare example of a comedy which is purely based in a working class environment. Not so much relatively few, but that by this point there are, and it's really refreshing to see those working class characters, you know, for want of a better phrase, the lack of manners they display. You know, there's farting, there's belching, there's scratching bollocks, there's picking noses, there's wiping snot on, you know, jumpers and everything.
Yeah.
But that's what families are like, isn't it, if you're a working class family, you know? And so I think that's one of the reasons, again, it might resonated so much with people, because of the truthfulness of it, I suppose, and the honesty of it.
To add to that, I think another reason why it resonates is that it also references the power that television has over a family household as well.
Yeah.
Everyone's got a box in the corner of the room. The TV in this programme is almost like an additional character because it's always on in the background. A lot of the conversations that I have are sparked from what they're seeing on the television.
Yeah.
And it's a way of uniting the entire family. There's a brilliant scene in this one where the theme from Emmerdale comes on.
Yes.
The camera just pans around the room and they all hum the theme tune to Emmerdale, which is just classic. I mean, we've all done it. Me and my family, when the Bill came on, we used to do a silly kind of sing along to the Bill with my dad and my sister. Again, you can behave like an idiot in front of your family, can't you?
Yeah.
And they just love you all the more for it.
Yeah.
You know, which is the central theme of this.
Yes.
So, I just wanted to mention that television does play a big part.
So, should we have a look at what the characters do in this? First of all, Jim, the patriarch. Now, Jim obviously cannot stand Nana. And he's got his chair. He's in charge of the remote control. And when Nana's talking about the grief she's feeling about her friend Elsie, Nana's just laying it on, isn't she? You know, his face is just constantly grimacing at her. He's just like, "Oh, will you shut the fuck up?" And as soon as he's got the idea that she might be angling to move in, he's absolutely horrified, isn't he? And he's so expressive, his face, Ricky Tomlinson.
Oh, it's great. I know you say he hates Nana, but I think there's a huge amount of love between them as well.
Yes, yeah. She just gets on his tits, doesn't she? You
and
know?
she knows it. I mean, she's kind of portrayed as being a little bit away with the fairies, a bit old, a bit doddery and stuff, but she's still sharp as a tack. And it's what I was talking about subtext before. There's the subtle little barbs that they throw at each other. Because she knows exactly what she's doing, and she knows that Jim's onto her.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah.
It's so much fun.
And Nana obviously has lost her best friend Elsie, and it's just come from the funeral. Nana really reminded me of my old Nana, who was me Nana's mum.
Yeah, it's my dad's mum,
Right.
My grandma.
Yeah, my old Nana we used to call the professional mourner. Because her and her sister Peggy would just go to funerals of people they didn't know for the sherry and the sandwiches. They'd be dressed up, the fur coats would be on. They'd be sobbing at the front of these churches, people they'd never met before, had no idea who they are. They'd be like, "Oh, those two sweet old ladies," you know, and off to get the fucking scran and the sherry at the reception.
That's how I want to end up. That is how I want to end up.
Yeah.
I want the free food and the sherry.
Yeah. She says, "I can't drink during the day anymore."
Yeah.
When Barbara offers her a brandy. And then she just knocks it back, doesn't she?
This is Nana's chance to shine in this episode.
Yeah.
You know, it's, like we say, it's written by Craig Cash and Carolina Hearn, with additional material, actually, it said at the end, by Ricky Tomlinson. So obviously he must kind of improvise some of his lines, and it's actually directed by Carolina Hearn, this one. And I think that shows because Denise is kind of very much, she's there, but she's not central. Liz Smith, who plays Nana, it's her time to shine.
Yes, it really is, and she does shine, doesn't she?
I mean, there's some comedy I mean, the way this is written, it's so observational, and you can tell that Craig Cash and Carolina Hearn have spent time with these people.
Yeah.
They know them inside out.
Yep.
Nana's talking about this man who's got a withered hand, which is a disability joke at the end of the day. Who could say that might be problematic these days? But she talks about this guy who's got a withering hand and that people can't bear to see him touching food. And then she comes out with Elsie's daughter Marion being round to a house.
Yeah.
She's obviously got a bit of money. And she says, Marion's curtains were fully lined.
Yes.
I mean, where do you get that observation from? And how is that funny?
Yeah.
But given to the right person in the right environment, it was hilarious.
Yeah. And the fact is, Nana is just desperate to get as much as she can out. So she says she's got some perishables, didn't she, from the fridge, which included like 4 bottles of Guinness or something. And she's just desperate to get as much as she can. And then Barbara says, well, you still got those pans. I could have those pans, isn't she? Proper vulture. Yeah. I think Jim calls her a vulture at one point, doesn't he?
Does. She says you're a bloody old vulture.
Yeah, which she's not wrong.
No, she's not wrong. But I mean, it's just so human and so authentic that there's one point where Nana's just labouring it. She's been maudling.
Yeah, totally performative, isn't it?
Very performative. And Barbara's kind of like nodding and listening. But then the telly's on and she's drawn to the telly. You can just see that Barbara's really losing interest. Yeah. Like, oh, for God's sake, shut up. How many conversations have you had with someone when they're kind of literally laying their life bare on the line?
Yeah.
Or they're suffering from grief?
Yeah.
And you've been there and you just tune out eventually, don't you?
Yeah.
Start watching the telly.
Are we talking generally or are we talking between us two?
Yeah, well, a bit of both, really.
Because between us two, 100 times, darling.
Even that, just observational humour. There was no lines for Barbara in that.
No.
But what she did was just amazing.
And it just it really reminds me of when my old Nana used to start going. My old Nana was deaf as well.
Yeah.
So you couldn't really have conversations with her often. Because you'd just be like, because you couldn't hear what you said.
Yeah.
There was a lot of just glazing off, looking at the telly while Nana's going on in the background, So true.
You could really tell where Jim was about to boil over. He'd had enough of Nana because Nana was going on and on about she loved Elsie. But all Jim saw was that you're a bloody old vulture. You can't wait to get in that house and strip it bare. And then Nana was coming back saying, no, that's not true. I'm not like that. And he's saying, oh, you're just angling to move in here. And she's going, I'm not. And it all escalated into a big row. But what was perfect about that scene was the look on everybody else's faces because they could see where this was heading.
Yeah.
And each barb that was thrown, even there was one point where Denise and David kind of just sank down into the sofa because they just knew what was about to happen. Then it erupted into this full-scale argument between them.
Yeah.
That was really fun.
Denise and Cheryl come in. They've got their matching pink pearlised biker jackets on. That company I mentioned earlier that I was in charge of trying to stop the Millennium Bug, we produced those jackets.
Really?
Yeah, those were our jackets.
That I thought they've obviously bought them from a catalogue and they're paying them off weekly.
Yeah. But then they probably got them in Topshop and Miss Selfridge. They were only £40 at the time.
Oh, really?
Yes, yeah. Based on the Madonna biker jacket. We just stole the design. Yeah. We sold hundreds of thousands of those each week. Really made me chuckle. But they've been to the shops, haven't they? They haven't really done anything. There's quite a lot of fat shaming of Cheryl, God love her, isn't there?
Let's cast our problematic gaze at that because as much as we love the Royle family, and we do, we love the character of Cheryl, there are a few punching down jokes about Cheryl's ways.
Yes,
there?
Like she talks about she's got some fudge. She bought some fudge at the shopping centre. And
Jim's, a pound of fudge or something?
Yes, and Jim's furious because she doesn't offer any to anybody. And then Denise says, well, she can't because she ate it on the way here. And Jim's just like, there's a lot of punching down on Cheryl, God love her. Yeah.
But as we said before, about the early 2000s, with like Love Actually, weight was very much on the menu when it came to comedy, wasn't it?
Absolutely. Just another, absolute turn of the century. Weight is funny, fat is funny at this point.
I found that really funny when they were talking about Cheryl.
Yes.
I felt it was like a family observation. Again, you can say things in front of your family that you would not dream of saying to anybody else for fear of being cancelled or...
Yeah.
No, but poor Cheryl, I mean, she's the underdog in this, isn't she?
She is,
you can't,
love her.
and the way that Jessica Hines plays it is great. You feel for Cheryl.
Yeah, you do.
She never gets to sit down on that sofa. She's always perched on the end.
Always perched on the arm, And there's a great bit when baby David starts crying on the baby monitor. And of course, they're all sitting on the couch, just ignoring the baby, willing somebody else to be the one who gets up and deals with the baby. So the camera puts a slow pan along David, along Denise, the child's parents, just ignore it. Pans along to Barbara, then along to Nana, up to Cheryl. then across to Jim, and eventually Cheryl is the one who says, do you want me to go and sort the baby out? And then he's like, yeah.
Denise says, yeah, you shouldn't let them cry indefinitely.
Yeah, she says, it's a full-time job, isn't it? Jim's always having a go at Denise for being lazy.
Yes.
You know, she managed to get off her arse or something.
Yeah.
I can imagine may have shocked a few sensibilities. Oh my God, the baby's crying. You must see to it immediately.
Yes.
But I suspect in most houses, it's like,
Yeah.
God,
Just for
is
God's
it my
sake,
turn?
shut up.
Yeah. Cheryl will do it.
Yeah, Cheryl will do it.
Yeah.
There's a great scene where Barbara says, I'm not cooking tonight, and everyone's just clutching their pearls. How can that be? And she says, Chippy tea.
Chippy tea.
Now, explain the Chippy tea phenomenon for our international listeners.
For us, Chippy tea was Thursday night, chip shop night. And it's basically just going to the chip shop to get yourself a bag of whatever, fish and chips, or mine was always battered sausage and chips and a can of Kirk.
Yeah, so fish and chips are a British delicacy,
institution,
aren't they?
yeah.
An institution.
Yes.
Go down, have fish, chips, mushy peas. It's kind of the staple. There are variations of that. You can get yourself a little pie and chips.
God, I could really eat that now, actually.
Pudding and chips, they said.
Yeah. What did you used to call the bits of the frying thing? The bits that come out the fryer? You could have like a spoonful of those. What did you used to call those in Scarborough?
So it's, the fish has been battered, and it was all the little end bits that had fallen off. Snapped off. They were called scraps in my house.
Crackling in ours.
No.
Yeah, crackling.
That's wrong.
I'm not going to argue on this.
No, I'm not even. I'm just telling you it's wrong.
It's got different variations for region. That's what my point was.
I know exactly what you're trying to say, but crackling's for pork. For God's sake.
Don't you take the Lord's name in vain in this podcast, love, just because you're wrong.
Gazers, please text in, Instagram us.
What do you call the little bits of batter when you're part of the world? What was that called? Give us a spoonful of crackling as well.
I can guarantee that none of our gazers will call in and say we called it crackling.
Well, everyone is wrong.
Okay. There were so many tiny little nuanced moments. The moment where they were talking about the funeral that Nana had been to and the wake, talk about mushroom vol au vents and melon boats.
Yes.
So Nana says, I'd like mushroom vol au vents at my funeral, Barbara. That's all right. And she said, I thought you wanted melon boats, like at Denise's wedding. And Nana says, I'd like both. I mean, on paper, you look at that and you just think, what the hell? Stand it up with these two women.
Yeah.
And gold.
Gold.
I mean, this show celebrates the mundane.
It does.
Doesn't it?
Yeah, it really does. It's a celebration of the mundane. And of course, the ending, after Jim's gone upstairs for his appointment on the throne, he then goes into Baby David's room on the monitor and starts to do a ghostly voice pretending he's Elsie. And what does he say at the end? He says, he makes some comment about, I'm coming to get you before you steal everything I've owned and stuff like this. And everyone looks at Nana, who's looking a bit furious, but then Nana just cackles, doesn't she? And it's just such a brilliant ending.
It's such a brilliant conclusion. It's the conflict and then the resolution.
Yeah.
And that's what highlights the warmth, I think, between Jim and his mother-in-law, Nana.
The fact that they've had this to do 5 minutes before, and that Jim's gone upstairs and just broken the whole thing with the humour of it. It's great. It's so good. That's the beating heart of this show, isn't it?
It really is. It's family, it's warmth.
Yeah.
It's familiarity. And I think the comedy is pretty timeless because it could be shown today and there'd still be people in those situations sat around watching it.
Yeah.
So that was The Royle Family. It's very short and sweet. I'd recommend anybody go and watch it because anybody who loves their family and hates their family at the same time will find a huge wealth of resonance with this show, I think.
Yes.
If you haven't seen it before, you're one of our international gazers, please try and track it down. There's lots of clips on YouTube, etc.
Yeah. It's worth it.
Yeah. But saying that, it's a programme very, very close to our hearts. What would you say were the problematic elements to it?
Well, the fat shaming of Cheryl, which is a thing, but of its time, and the withered hand. But it's a funny line.
It's funny. Like, we never judge, do we?
We never judge.
If you want to laugh about a withered hand touching food at a funeral wake, then...
Would you struggle if someone had a withered hand and they were at the vol au vents before you got there?
Yes.
I think I would as well. Isn't that awful?
It's really
we're
awful.
Terrible people.
But we're humans and we're fallible and we aren't necessarily...
We're complicated creatures.
We're complicated people, and we're not necessarily nice people all the time.
No, you're horrible, you. Good.
Okay, moving on.
What would you give this out of 10?
I would give it 9 chip shop Savoys out of 10.
I will give it 9 large brandies out of 10 as well. It's great.
It's so much fun.
Yeah, really great.
You know, I think the good thing about this podcast is sometimes we watch something that we've not seen before and we can give a completely independent and unbiased view and opinion about what we've just watched.
Yes.
Other times we watch something that's really dear to our heart, and it's nice just to kind of wallow in the sentimentality of it.
Yes, it was, yeah.
But also highlight, you know, 1 or 2 problematic elements to it.
Yeah.
That perhaps gives the listener just a newfound approach to a classic.
Yes.
Yes.
I like that.
Yes.
Very good.
Thank you.
So, what are we going to be talking about next week then?
Well, the old cobber. We're going down under next week. Not like that. We're going down to Australia.
Wow, we've never done Australia before, have we?
We've not. So we're going to celebrate all
How
things Australia.
exciting. Bonza, mate.
I know, Bonza.
Should we not do that?
Should we do it but in an English accent?
It's fair dinkum.
It's fair dinkum.
Yeah.
You flaming galah.
Flaming galah.
Yeah.
You can't not say that in Australian accent.
Flaming galah. We're going to be watching a show called Prisoner Cell Block H.
Wow.
Known in Australia as just Prisoner.
Prisoner.
But because there was another show called The Prisoner in the UK already, featuring big bouncing balls along the Port Merion beach.
Hello.
But this is the Australian prison women's drama. If that's the right way around of saying it.
Yeah.
Prisoner Cell Block H. Featured very heavily in a lot of students' late night TV watching throughout the 90s in the UK, because it was always on repeat somewhere late at night. But started out in 1979 in Australia, a soap opera dedicated to and celebrating women in all their forms.
Yes. So look forward to that. I'm looking forward to some crisp dialogue, some rich characterizations, some solid constructed sets, some high drama. That's what I'm looking forward to.
Okay, I will just forewarn you that I am the hugest Prisoner fan.
Yes, you are. I know.
So I will be defending it rigorously.
Yes.
We've chosen an episode from the
5th season, I think. And it was the
season.
5th season finale.
Yes, episode 326.
Wow, it is drama.
Often gone down amongst Prisoner Cell Block 8 enthusiasts as one of the best episodes of the series.
Really?
Yes,
Gosh.
because it's the denouement of a lot of different storylines coming together, and there's a fire at the end. So,
Spoilers.
We'll post a link to it. It's on YouTube.
Yeah.
You can have a little watch.
Yeah.
If you're a Prisoner Cell Block H fan, we hope you will look forward to this episode. And if you're not, if you've not seen it before, we hope that we can enlighten you and set you on your way to embark on a 7-year journey of 700 odd episodes of Prisoner Cell Block H. Before we go, please follow us, gazers, ladies and gents, first-time listeners, long-time listeners. Press that follow button, please. Thank you. That is an order. We're on Instagram and TikTok at Podcast Gaze. And if you want to suggest future topics, then please email us on problematicgaze@gmail.com. And please leave us a review, because they really help to spread the word of the Problematic Gaze.
And don't forget to tell us what crackling was called in a chip shop where you're from.
Exactly. Scraps, that's what they were called.
Crackling.
That's what
All right then.
normal-
Crackling. All right then. Bye.